Kill Team's new starter set contains some of the rarest 40k minis of all time.
That belongs in a museum!
Welcome to Warhammer Wednesday, our weekly look at all things Warhammer and wargames. While Warhammer is in the name of this feature, this series will cover all of your favorite minis-focused games, including Marvel Crisis Protocol, Star Wars Legion, War Machine, Fallout Factions, and the new Halo minis game, along with anything that hasn't been announced yet but involves little plastic men and or women and or monsters. Now, before we dive in, as a reminder, this is a brand new channel, so we humbly ask that you support us by liking and subscribing and sharing where you can. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's talk some minis. Games Workshop has announced a brand new starter set for Kill Team, the skirmish-focused game set in the world of Warhammer 40k. While the new starter set doesn't contain any new miniatures per se, it almost certainly will be a top seller. That's because the 7 Space Marines and 7 Chaos Space Marine minis were all previously extremely hard to find. Both sets were released as part of the Warhammer Heroes Blind Bag minis line, which means you couldn't just buy them as a set, you had to buy individual bags and hope that you got the one that you wanted. And one miniature was only previously released in Japan as an exclusive. Now, all 14 miniatures are push-fit minis that can be made without clippers and glue, so if you're new to mini building, these are the perfect things to start with. Now, if you've never built one of Game Workshop's push-fit miniatures before, we recommend that you get at least a good hobby knife or maybe some sprue cutters, because there's usually little bits of sprue that need to be sliced off in order to ensure a good fit. Trust me, a good X-Acto knife goes a long way with some of these miniatures. Now, as a starter set, this does come with an introductory rulebook as opposed to a full rulebook for Kill Team, and it also has some scenarios that help walk through the various rules and concepts of the games. Now, Kill Team has a cheaper entry point than Warhammer 40k, and it also has a brand new, recently released edition that has helped to streamline rules a little bit, although we will note that Kill Team, not exactly the most user-friendly game. It's actually a little bit more fiddly than Warhammer 40k.
The war is about to escalate.
A massive new Tyrannid and the Dark Angels are coming to Space Marine 2. Focus Entertainment revealed that the Hierophant Biotitan is coming to the game as part of a new PvE operation called Termination. This will come as part of a brand new update to one of the surprise hits of 2024 that also includes the brand new lethal difficulty, which, as its name suggests, is an even harder version of the game. Now, there's also a brand new weapon that's free to all players called the Neo Volkite Pistol. And finally, those with the Season Pass will get various Dark Angels-themed cosmetics, including new armor pieces, new color schemes, and weapon styles. Now, if you don't know who the Dark Angels are because you're new to Warhammer 40k, you may want to check out our shorts later, as we'll have a little video about that later. Hey, we call that cross-branding. Anyways, all of this will be released by the end of 2024.
Brace yourselves!
Renegade has announced plans for a new collection of Heroscape content, with releases starting in February 2025. Now, Heroscape, of course, is the revival of the classic Hasbro game. Renegade picked up the license and has been producing the miniatures both as painted minis and unpainted miniatures, and this is the game that includes that raised hexagonal terrain that's very unique, has a cult following, and seems to be doing well for Renegade. Now, interestingly, this is being called a story arc set of releases rather than a full-blown wave, and there will be 6 separate boxes that include polar bear warriors, a bunch of insectoid monsters that kind of look like Tyrannids only with mantis features, and some winged furry commandos. Now, Renegade has been really hitting the new Heroscape line hard, although we will note that this set is significantly smaller than the first 2 waves of releases. Now, we don't know if that's due to slowing demand, or more likely it's just because they wanted to get a lot of new stuff out there and now are slowing down to a more easy to collect pace, but I guess we will see. Anyways, all of those will start to come out in February through April 2025. Now, in slightly older Warhammer news, Games Workshop recently announced a new edition of Warhammer Underworlds, a different skirmish game that uses a combination of minis and card decks for fast and furious fantasy combat. Interestingly, this is the third secondary Warhammer game to get a new edition this year, following the release of Kill Team and the announcement of a new edition of their Lord of the Rings themed Middle-earth strategy battle game. We also got a new entry point for Necromunda in the form of Hive Secundus, although that was more of a standalone box than a new edition. Now, there was some speculation recently that Underworlds would be retired in the nearish future, but it seems like Games Workshop is doubling down on these various spin-off games. And that's probably because many of them serve as entry points to the bigger 40k or Age of Sigmar games. Kind of interesting to see the trends, but it's a sign that Games Workshop business is booming and they are pushing all of their games, not just their biggest ones. Anyways, that's all the news that we have this week. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Above the Table.